So I couldn't find any documentation online on this guy, and the only identifier was this little number on it. But what I'm gonna do is make some assumptions here and assume that these are the terminals and just plug it in and see how she goes. Turn my power supply all the way down. We'll turn up the power, and as you can see, there's no current going through right now. Now putting in 12 volts, and that's a lot of voltage. So maybe it's higher, or I just have it hooked up backwards. I think it's a diode. I think I've got it hooked up backwards. Hang on. Let's try that again. Oh, look at that. She's starting to... Holy crap, she's bright. Ah! I've got an idea of what we can do with this. So one of the things we do all the time at our house is have fights with Nerf guns. It's extremely, common for us to do. And we're always looking at how we can kind of improve kind of our Nerf gun game, do some cool upgrades and stuff. So I thought, use this guy I found and use it as kind of an advantage as an attachment on my Nerf gun. It uses a ridiculous amount of power for what it is. I don't think battery is really the way to go. And it also doesn't really make sense to have it plugged into the wall. I feel like just a simple flash would do the trick, not holding it on sustaining, because that's just, mean. There's some things we can do to make that happen. And I think a single one-time flash, almost like a flashbang type thing, is really gonna be a fun thing to attach to the top of the Nerf gun. Fortunately, I have access to a lot of stuff I've collected over the years, and this guy here is a capacitor. What a capacitor does is it will hold a charge inside of it, can then create a current as a result. Now the thing is, with a battery, you're going to hold a charge as well, and it's going to, over time, discharge, the voltage is going to drop. Same thing is true for a capacitor, except it just has a much lower capacity, much lower total amount of charge it can actually hold. So if we're looking at how much voltage is in a capacitor basically over time, if we do this, if we have 0, it's going to have no charge, basically 0 voltage. Capacitor on its own, not going to have any charge. But if we were to connect it to, let's say we have it hooked up like this, whatever voltage this is at, let's say 5 volts, it's going to complete a 5 volt circuit along here. The capacitor is going to charge to 5 volts. As we know with Ohm's laws, it's going to be consistent 5 volts all along. Once we plug it into the circuit, it's going to start at 0. And what's going to happen is it's going to basically go up and approach that 0 line. Now let's say we disconnect that circuit. It's still gonna be at this 5 volt line. But let's say we connect it to something else entirely. Say we connect it to an LED, like there. And, okay. Now there's a load on the circuit, and current's gonna flow through the LED, and as the current does, the charge is gonna drop, and it's gonna drop like this. And that's gonna happen very quickly, and the amount of charge stored is what the rating of the capacitor is. That is how much charge it can have. So a very small capacitor, and here for example, it's gonna have a very small capacity, whereas a capacitor like this is gonna be much larger. As you can see here, 3,300 microfarads or 3.3 millifarads. Hey Peter.
Yeah?
Hey Peter.
What's up?
I'm gonna show you the thing.
Okay.
There we go. Look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? What is it?
I don't know, it's a light.
Where did you get this light?
I don't know, I found it.
What? Where?
I just in a box. It's
Wait.
so bright. Hey Michael, come here.
What?
This is what I found.
You bitch.
Hello. Is that half-inch steel? See, what made you think cutting half-inch steel with a jigsaw was a good idea?
It's a metal blade to cut through metal.
Right.
Yeah.
How long have you been at it?
Only about like 2 hours.
2 hours?
Yeah.
And how much more do you have to go?
We got good progress here. Over double.
So we did some soldering and we hooked it up the way I said it would. It's not fully put together in a case yet, but on this perforated board, we've got a switch that'll go and close the circuit to these two capacitors for a total of about 1,100 or 11,000 microfarads, which and will only happen when that's pressed, and it will, drain over time. To charge it, I have this live wire, which I'm being very careful not to short, and then just ground. So what I'll do is I'll connect it to my source. I'll connect the power to the charging power terminal, turn on my supply, make sure it's connected, and as we see, it draws some amps, and then stops drawing amps once it's charged. We'll turn it off. We can unplug it, and now what we can do is look at that! Isn't that cool? Nice little flash. Just pew. I'm gonna make a case now, so it can attach to Nerf guns, and we'll test it out. Let's slap it on for real, and let's go try it out, shall we? Hey, Michael! Jammed! Alright, second time now. Michael definitely doesn't suspect anything.